Thank you. Thank you very much. I realize the weather is threatening, but a lot of people passed through my life during my long baseball career, and I hope you'll bear with me because I'd like to mention them all. You know, I've been thinking, even though it's raining, it's still a perfect kind of day for me. Standing here on this stage, celebrating the pinnacle of my life and my career. And one reason it seems so right today is because it's the summertime and it's Sunday. Sundays and summertime only mean two things to me. That means it's a time for baseball and it's a time for families. Both of those things, thank you, both of those things have been very important to me throughout my life. Each one has enriched the other. Baseball and family together have shaped my character, my value, and my career, and together they have brought me here today before you. Some of the most important people in my life, in both baseball and my life and my family life, are here today to share these moments with me. And I'm very grateful that they could be here. Some of the others could not be here today, but I'm sure they're here in spirit. The people I've come to know through baseball over the years are my family too, in a way, and I'm going to tell you about them a little bit later on. But when I talk about my family, I'm really talking about two families. There's the one, of course, that starts with my dad, Frank McCovey, who passed on some 23 years ago. I wish he could be here today with me. And my mother, Esther McCovey, who is here today and is sitting right down here in front of me. Along with my sister, Frances, my brother, Clausel, and my lovely daughter, Allison. I was raised with 7 brothers, Frank Jr., Wyatt, Arthur, Richmond, Walter, Clausel, and Cleon, and 2 sisters, Frances and Ethel. All of them and the others with the McCovey family name in Mobile, Alabama, and throughout the country are part of me and share on this occasion today. I have another family, and it is a family of good, genuine, caring people who opened their hearts and their homes to me over the years. I guess you might say they adopted me and made me part of their families. Come to think of it, I'm not sure how I ever got to be known as a loner when I was actually surrounded by so many special, loving people. I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of them. I was adopted in this way by a warm and unselfish San Francisco family. Mr. and Mrs. John Dudum and their sons. Rocky and his wife, Netta, are my closest friends in the Dudum family. Then there's Paul, who is here today, Artie, Jack, George, and Jimmy, all my adopted brothers. I was adopted by a bright young lawyer and his wife, Harold and Helen Silent, who not only managed my finances, but invited me into their home as part of their family. By honest, compassionate men of dignity, like Franklin Muley, Bill Rigney, Saldy Parker, Lon Simmons, and Edna Gurney. Men who offered only friendship, counsel, and understanding, and expected nothing in return. By loving, nurturing women like Ruth Stovall, who's here today, whom I call my San Francisco mother, by the late Mrs. Mary Cross down in Phoenix, Arizona, by Charlotte Kahn in San Diego, who is here today. These ladies took me under their wings, saw to it that I took care of myself, ate right, got my rest, had plenty of motherly advice when I needed it away from home. By my loyal teammates. Because I had 4 decades of them, some of them was closer than others, but all of them are part of my Giants family. By Horace Stonin and Bob Lurie, the 2 gentlemen who owned the Giants during my career. It was Horace who brought me up through the system, supported me throughout my career. And I've always been grateful to Bob for bringing me back to San Francisco in 1977, finish out my career where I started it. And of course, in between, I'm grateful to Buzzy Babese for the 3 years I spent with him in the San Diego Padres, and I especially thank Buzzy for crediting me with turning that franchise around in 74, 5, and 6. Horace, unfortunately, is not well enough to travel, but he is well represented today by Chub Feeney. But if he could hear me today, I'd like him to know how much he means to me. Bob and his lovely wife, Connie, they are here today. I appreciate that very much. And I know you all join me in congratulating Bob and the Giants on the very successful season they have in San Francisco. Hopefully, with the support of the people of the Bay Area, we can get that stadium built and keep the Giants where they belong. I've been adopted, too, by all the thousands of great Giants fans everywhere, and by the city of San Francisco, where I've always been welcome, and like the Golden Gate Bridge and the cable cars, I've been made to feel like a landmark, too. There are some other people I can't help but remember fondly on this day as I think way back to the beginning of my career in Mobile, Alabama, some 30 years ago. I'm thinking of Jackie Robinson, who broke the color line and made our dreams of being a major leaguer a reality. I'm thinking of Jesse Thomas, a playground director in Mobile, who arranged for me to have a tryout in front of the Giant Scouts down in Melbourne, Florida. And the late scout Alex Pompez and Mr. Jack Swartz of the Giants, who together signed me to my first contract. My first manager in pro ball, Pete Pavlik. Pete was the skipper of the Class D Sandersville Club in the Georgia State League, where I broke in 1955. He and his wife was the first to adopt me. They used to invite me to their house after the game and became very close to me. I also remember one of my teammates there. His name was Ralph Crosby. He was out of New York. We was the only 2 black players on that team, and we had to stay in separate parts of town back then, so Ralph and I became good friends. I first met Solly Parker in 1956 when I went to Danville in the Carolina League, and he was my manager. He also managed me at Dallas in 1957 in the Texas League. I guess you might say Solly became somewhat of a father figure to me, because I'll never forget the day he called me into his office. He called me Biggin. He said, "Biggin, you're tall, and because you're tall, you'll always be respected and you'll always stand out in a crowd." He said, you're not a very outgoing person, and you have an easygoing manner. And people may interpret that as though you're not caring. But whatever people say, stay the way you are, just be yourself. Don't ever change or let somebody try to make you something you're not. I've always remembered those words and tried to live by them, and I'll always feel close to Solly because of the way he treated me. Of course, I would be remiss if I failed to acknowledge and extend my thanks and appreciation to the members of the Baseball Writers Association of America, not only for electing me to baseball's highest shrine, but for many years of kind words and generous praise. And the same holds true for all of the sports media. It's been my distinct pleasure through the years to have met and become friends with many of the nation's best and brightest sports journalists. And now I have become a player on the most distinguished team of all. It's a new family in a way, a family of men whose accomplishments in baseball and in life set them apart from all others. And I am truly honored and blessed with this ultimate adoption, if you will, by the game that I played so hard and loved so deeply. And for many warm summer Sunday afternoons in the years to come, I will cherish the memories of my baseball career and the closeness of my family of relatives, friends, teammates, fans, and my fellow Hall of Famers. And I know my mother would not want me to leave this stage without thanking God Almighty. Thanks, Jesus, and thank you.